I love how that wasn't just ooh scary ghost every vid. True. I know. That's why I like these kinds of videos, because it's like realistic scary, you know? Speaking of realistic scary, guys, we have another one. All right? We have another one literally from Chilling Scares again, okay? W. Urban legends that turned out to be true. Dude, I'm really interested. You got me hooked just with the title. Just with the title. Urban legend, true? Okay. Honey Bear Forever coming in with a follow, by the way, and a first time chat. I love you. You're so funny. I love you more. How about that? Thank you so much for coming in. Seriously. People got to be insanely psycho to make traps and put them out in public. Dude, people putting nails and barbed wire in the middle of the woods. Like it's going to be hard to get me to go into like a woods ever again. Or a woods. A forest. But that just really seals the deal, you know? Janny, have an amazing night. I can't wait for this video, okay? Urban Legends, let's get it.
West Hobart Haunted House.
Oh, shit.
West Hobart is an inner-city suburb located in Tasmania, Australia.
Tasmania
Over the years, dozens
devil.
of allegations of supposed hauntings, ghost apparitions, and other paranormal activity have been made by tourists and residents of West Hobart.
Okay.
And it's honestly not too hard to see why, as West Hobart is a pretty old town with a generally creepy vibe. As is usually the case, most of these stories have either turned out to be fake, or the people making the allegations didn't have enough evidence to support
this is
their
gonna be like a
claims, which
paranormal
makes it
one,
almost
huh?
entirely likely that they're hoaxes. But as it turns out, at least one of these stories actually has some amount of truth to it. Back in the late 80s and mid 90s, rumors started spreading of a house in West Hobart that was apparently so haunted it drove its residents insane.
What?
At first, the rumors created a huge buzz all over town, with the locals doing everything possible to stay far away from the alleged haunted house. It wasn't until months later that the authorities got involved and finally got a clear picture of the situation. While it was true that the house's residents appeared to be going insane, it didn't have anything to do with paranormal activity, but with the fact that a datura vine had been growing through the trees directly above the home and dropping leaves into the family's rainwater tank.
How is this an urban
legend? For a
legend?
long time, the family had been inadvertently consuming microdoses of the plant every single day, which made them slowly but surely start to lose their sanity as they sank further and further into delirium. In case you've never heard of it, datura is a species of plant within the nightshade family, also known as Jimson weed, the devil's weed, or devil's trumpet, and you'll see why in a second.
What?
Even though the plant itself looks pretty harmless, it's known for having extremely powerful hallucinogenic properties, which is why
Wait, do they put like this shit in drugs probably? Holy fuck, it's goosebumps? Wait, is it an urban legend? What is the urban legend part?
was used for centuries by Native American tribes in coming-of-age rituals and other important ceremonies. The Aztecs also used datura as a painkiller in certain rituals, namely in ritual sacrifices, and it's also commonly used as an ingredient in the ritual of zombification in the Haitian voodoo religion, where it's referred to as the devil's cucumber. As you can probably tell by now, datura isn't your typical recreative hallucinogen, and there's a reason why it's really only ever used in hardcore spiritual rituals and ceremonies, and sometimes by naive people who have no idea what they're getting themselves into.
Okay, I'm locked in.
In low to medium doses, datura causes extremely distressing, delirious experiences, and in higher doses it can lead to paralysis and even death. Nowadays, datura is recognized by most tribes as a highly toxic and dangerous plant, and have understandably stopped using it.
Alright, but what happened though, you know what I mean?
Before we move on, I wanted to take a minute to talk about War Thunder, the sponsor of this video.
You fucking... That's it? How is it an urban legend? It's a plant. The fuck?
And Silver Lions, three...
Okay, dude. What the fuck? Cropsy.
If you were to somehow go back to the 70s and spend some time in Staten Island, it probably wouldn't take you long to hear about an urban legend of a man named Cropsy.
I've never heard of it.
As the story went, Cropsy was a serial kidnapper and killer who lost his son and resorted to stealing other people's children to deal with his grief.
Oh, that's fucked up.
According to the legend, Cropsy also had a hook for a hand, scars, burns, and open wounds covering his entire face and body, and a generally horrifying appearance. Considering the mass areas of uninhabited woodlands, it's not all that unexpected
so you're
that
gonna
a tale
tell me
like
this
the legend
guy's
of
real?
Cropsy would make it into the mainstream culture at some point. Unfortunately, this wasn't just a tall tale made up by Staten Island parents to keep their kids from venturing too far into the woods and getting lost. Although the legend has some obviously made-up elements, such as the hooked hand and the horrifying scars and burns, at some point in the early 70s, children in Staten Island really did start disappearing. That's when the line between legend and reality started to blur, and the story of the real Cropsy immediately replaced the urban legend.
Okay.
This is the real story. Andre Rand was a man from Manhattan who was born in 1944 and moved to Staten Island in the late 60s. After working for 2 years at the infamously brutal Willowbrook State School for Children with Disabilities, Rand was arrested in 1969 and served over a year in prison for the attempted attack of a 9-year-old girl.
What?
As soon as he was released 16 months later, reports started cropping up of more little girls disappearing all over Staten Island, including 5-year-old Alice Pereira, who was playing in her building's lobby when she suddenly disappeared without a trace. Over the next decade, Rand was the prime suspect in the disappearances and deaths of several other young girls in the area. But it wasn't until 1983
Why she look like that, bruh?
when he picked up 11 kids from a local YMCA and brought them fast food before taking them to the airport that he was finally arrested and sentenced to 10 months in prison again.
10
Throughout
months?
the 70s and 80s, dozens of young
10
kids
months.
disappeared in Staten Island, and although Rand was often the last person to be seen with them, there was ultimately never enough evidence to put him away for a long time. For many years, he would often be seen hanging around young kids, going on walks with them, and even taking them to...
Dude, if I just saw this guy in public, I'd be like, yo, he's got to be on some type of list. You know what I'm saying? Keep this kid away from every elementary school in the area. He just got that look, man. I don't really know how to explain it. He just has it, right? Not everybody has it, but there's a certain group of people that kind of have that look.
and even taking them to lunch and dinner with him in local restaurants. After years of letting him walk the streets as a free man, police would finally have a breakthrough in the case in 1987 when they found undeniable evidence that Rand had been behind the disappearance and murder of Jennifer Schweiger, a 12-year-old girl with Down syndrome.
Oh,
In 1988, he was sentenced to 25 years to life, and while he was behind bars, more and more evidence was found that tied him to several other disappearances in Staten Island in the 70s and 80s.
R.I.P.
Unfortunately, he was only charged with one additional major crime in 2004, which was the kidnapping of Holly Ann Hughes, thanks to which he will spend the next 13 years behind bars until 2037. If he lives that long, he'll be 93 by the time he gets out.
Bro, stop showing me this ugly ass.
The Main Hermit.
The Main Hermit.
The Kennebec Valley is one of the most beautiful regions in Maine, with over 5,000 square miles of forests, rolling hills, and natural paradise surrounding the Kennebec River. Many cabin owners of the North Pond area in the Kennebec Valley have described the area as the most peaceful place on Earth.
It looks peaceful. I mean, this kind of looks like horrifying a little bit and like bad things happen in there, but dude, this looks peaceful. I kind of want to be in a place that looks like this. Kind of looks like my fucking up north cottage. I can't even lie. I think they found where I live and they fucking put that shit up there. What's up, Drew? What's up, Andrew? There's an Andrew and a Drew that just fucking came in. Drew, your boy was in here earlier. He dropped 5. He proved dominance over you. How does it make you feel?
Area as the most peaceful place on Earth. But it hasn't always been that way. All throughout the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, there were reports of over 1,000 break-ins in the North Pond cabins. For decades, nobody knew who was responsible for the thefts, especially since they were always carried out when there was no one home. As the cabin owners soon noticed, the break-ins seemed to follow a pattern, always peaking in the days before Memorial Day and after Labor Day. As for the stolen items themselves, they ranged from food, to cooking utensils, to books, to propane tanks, to toiletries of all kinds. In the absence of a concrete suspect, the locals eventually named the thief the North Pond Hermit, even though by this point there was nothing to suggest the break-ins were being carried out by a single person.
How is this an urban legend?
Although it wasn't uncommon for groups of homeowners to venture out into the woods to try to find the North Pond Hermit, they never found a trace, which only added to the legend's mystery. One afternoon in 2002, 100 people attended a North Pond homeowners meeting, and when someone asked how many of them had suffered break-ins, almost all of them raised their hands.
Drew with 5
As you can
gifted,
probably
man.
guess, the North Pond Hermit quickly turned into somewhat of a boogeyman, with the legend frequently being shared over campfires in the area. For years, nobody thought that the
original fire goes, you know you're bored when you be stealing books. Literally, dude. Hey, books can be expensive, okay? Hey, books are kind of expensive. Is that true, guys? They can add up, dude. They're like fucking 30, 40 bucks sometimes for a fucking book. My college books are expensive as fuck. Yo, low-key, he probably hit a lick on it on each cabin. Probably like $500 worth of fucking books in each one.
person or people behind the break-ins would ever be found. But in April 2013,
Drew,
a man
I love
named
you, man.
Christopher Thomas Knight was arrested in the middle of the woods in the North Pond area by an
Whoa,
officer who
that's
had made it
him?
his sole
Oh, yeah, he's a bookworm, for sure. I mean, he looks like a worm in general, but this a guy that loves books for sure. And kind of, I don't know, man. How do you have a chin strap that goes all the way around your head, too? Kind of crazy.
mission to bring the thief to justice. As soon as he was brought to the police station, the cops asked him why he wasn't answering any of their questions. At first, it seemed as though he was having trouble speaking, but eventually he responded that he was ashamed of himself. As it was later revealed, Christopher had been living out in the middle of the woods by himself in an
What?
unheated nylon tent, surviving only on the things he stole from nearby North Pond cabins.
Okay, dude.
Shockingly, he had survived winter temperatures of 20 degrees below zero for years and hadn't been to a doctor or taken any medicine for 3 decades.
What the
What's
fuck
most
is this
incredible
guy's...
about the hermit's story is that for the entire time he lived in the woods, he didn't have a single conversation with another human being, except for one time when he ran into a hiker and only said hi.
Yo, low-key, he made that shit
Understandably, Chris
work.
had
You
lost
gotta give him
interest
some
in keeping
credit.
track of time, so when he was asked how long he had been in the woods,
I feel like if he did that and he made it this long in the woods without any help, you gotta just let the man be. That's on you guys for not tracking him down. All right? Hey, he's making it work out there.
by himself, he
How
replied
is this an urban legend video? That's what I'm kind of saying. I think we got clickbait a little bit. It kind of worked though.
since the Chernobyl nuclear meltdown, which took place in 1986. As investigators later found out, he was 20 years old when he decided to become a hermit, just a couple of years after high school, although he never gave the authorities a real reason why he decided to disappear.
This man's looked the
In all
same
his
since
years
high
of
school.
isolation, he went to extreme lengths to preserve his privacy. He never lit fires, only moved at night, and hadn't had any kind of communication with the rest of society for more than half of his life.
Never lit
He'd
fires.
never driven a car, sent an email, or even known what the internet was until his arrest. Interestingly, as the cops dug deeper and deeper into his story, they realized that his only real possessions were his glasses, which he had been wearing for 30 years and could even be seen in his Lawrence High School yearbook picture from 1984. Everything else, down to his
What?
underwear and jacket, had been stolen. After the investigation, Knight was sentenced to 7 months in prison, after which he once again disappeared. According to the cops, he's now living a quiet, peaceful life in rural Maine.
Wait, let's go try and find that guy, bro.
Purple Akey.
Yo, IRL stream in Maine. We gonna try and find that motherfucker in the middle of the woods, all right? And hopefully not step on a wooden plank that's covered in nails pointing upwards. Andrew with 500 bits. Dude, Andrew, thank you, bro. Jesus. Maine is a beautiful state. I've never been there, but I've heard like great things about Maine actually. It's kind of just like up in the middle of fucking nowhere though, you know what I mean? Like it's in that clusterfuck area of the US. It's in the clusterfuck with a bunch of things. It's like way up there.
Throughout the late 1980s and 90s, rumors of a massive bodybuilder.
What is this one called? Purple Aki?
Throughout the late 1980s and 90s, rumors of a massive bodybuilder called Purple Akey began to surface in the
Purple Akey.
northwest of England.
Okay.
According to the allegations, Purple Akey would supposedly walk the streets of Liverpool hunting down young, muscular men and rugby players and oddly ask them if he would let them feel their muscles. If they complied, he would allegedly squeeze their muscles for much longer than was considered socially acceptable and would then ask them to perform squats so he could feel their quad muscles. Some teenagers reported that Purple Akey even went as far as to ask them to pose for him and often offered
he's doing
exercise
it!
and nutrition advice for those who gave him the time.
Bro, how is this an urban legend? He's in the flesh on video doing it. It's not an urban legend.
Because the rumors were so incredibly ridiculous, nobody really took them too seriously at first, and eventually the story of Purple Akey turned into an urban
Okay,
legend with
Smurfy.
crazy details being gradually added to the tale, including one where Purple Akey would allegedly swallow teenagers whole if they let him feel their muscle.
Who the fuck is this guy?
But as time went on, it became clear that Purple Akey wasn't just a made-up character created by
swallow
bored teenagers
teenagers
looking to get some
whole?
laugh from their friends, but
What?
a real person named the KingWoolz Aerobic. Akey was often seen traveling across England by train
Does
carrying
he
a plastic
always
bag
wear
and
purple?
asking young men if he could feel their muscles.
Okay, Okay, bro.
Naturally, this made a lot of people uncomfortable, and it wasn't uncommon for Aki's face to be featured in local newspapers after
6'5" giant stalks rugby Super League stars. Top rugby league clubs were last night on full security alert. Sorry, I'm burping, chat. After a giant stalker launched a campaign against young players. Strapping stars at Warrington Wolves and Oldham Bears are living in fear of 6'5" bodybuilder Akinwal Ariboki. Ariboki, dubbed Purple Aki, has been accused of waging a vicious vendetta against the tough heroes. Okay. Why you gotta write like that? I can't.
several encounters with the law. Most of the accusations against him were related to his creepy behavior around teenage boys, but around 1986, the story of Purple Aki took a really dark turn.
Oh, shit.
Early that year, 16-year-old Gary Keller was walking home from school when he ran into Purple Aki, who immediately asked to feel his muscles.
Dude.
Freaked out by the weird request, Gary said no and ran away. Later that same year, Aki followed Gary to a local outdoor swimming pool, and when the teenager noticed, he ran to New Brighton train station and jumped onto the railroad tracks to get away from Aki. Sadly, the story ended in tragedy, as Gary was accidentally electrocuted by one of the rails. Considering the whole thing happened because Gary was being chased, Purple Aki was convicted of involuntary manslaughter, charged with harassing 14 different teenage boys, and sentenced to 2.5 years in prison. In 1988, Aki filed an appeal and complained that the only reason he had been convicted was because he was black. Ultimately, the judges agreed there wasn't enough evidence to prove Aki had been directly responsible for Gary's death, and believe it or not, he was freed and awarded £35,000 in compensation.
What?
Between 1988 and 2006, Aki went in and out of jail for failing to resist his compulsion to touch, feel, and measure other people's muscles.
Dude, people are literally recording him on Snapchat, bro.
And in 2003, he was arrested for an additional 15 charges of harassment and witness intimidation, for which he was sentenced to 6 years in prison.
What the fuck?
Just like any other predator, he was also forbidden from waiting outside schools in the area. A few months later, he was jailed for 15 months for getting up to his same antics. Upon his release, he was once again arrested a few weeks later.
Dude, this man just wants to feel a bunch of muscles, bro. What's so bad? All right, maybe not a 16-year-old's. But just let him feel your muscles, man.
Later in 2010, and then again in 2015. After his latest release, he reportedly moved to Leeds, where rumors started cropping up that he had passed away during the pandemic.
What?
However, those rumors were put to rest when videos started surfacing in 2023 of Aki walking the streets of Leeds asking random dudes to, you guessed it, feel their muscles.
What?
As of today, Purple Aki is alive and well, and will probably continue in his same behavior with or without permission for many years to come.
What the Alright, I guess that is an urban legend at that point.
Loyan.
I spoke too soon.
According to a Swiss urban legend, people have allegedly been running into a mysterious human-like figure in the Fribourg forest in the western part of the country near the town of Mals since the early 2000s. Based on the dozens of allegations that surfaced over the years, the figure has been described as being around 6 feet tall and always wearing a vintage-looking gas mask covering his entire face, a boiler suit, and a cloak.
You can't tell me this is real.
Most people who supposedly ran into the figure reported he or she was completely harmless, but this didn't make the encounters any less terrifying, and it wasn't uncommon for people to report the figure to the police when their children reported feeling scared. As expected, it didn't take local residents long to start adding their own crazy twist to the story, with some claiming that the creature was the ghost of a mentally unstable soldier, while other popular theories assured it was an alien.
Okay.
For a while, the story was classified as an urban legend, and the mysterious humanoid was given the name Laid Loyan, also known as the Ghost or the Hermit of Mals. Throughout the early 2000s, Laid Loyan was mostly the subject of local oral legend.
I hope they have a picture of a
video
video of this guy.
Existence. But in 2013, the story gained international attention when the Swiss/French newspaper Les Matins published the first ever photograph of Laid Loyan, which was sent in by a hiker. After the photograph was published, there was no turning back, as people from all over the country started to make trips to the woods outside Mals for a chance to catch a glimpse of Laid Loyan. The last known sighting of Laid Loyan took place in June 2013 when a local woman named Marianne Desclous saw the figure clutching a bunch of flowers as she was walking outside. Later that year, Laid Loyan's clothes were found in the middle of the woods along with a wooden note titled The Death Certificate and Will of the Ghost des Mals. In the letter, Laid Loyan accused the media of having murdered a harmless being by revealing its existence and turning him into a circus freak. The letter
What?
also mentioned that due to the unwanted attention, Lei Loyan had to abandon
Bro, in my opinion, that looks like Batman. That is camo covered Batman. Okay?
its daily walks, which were referred to as happiness therapy in the letter. After the cryptic note was published in the newspaper, many people concluded that Lei Loyan had taken its own life, although this has never been confirmed. As of 2024, nobody has ever seen Lei Loyan's true face, and many people have theorized that the figure was possibly a woman with a facial disfiguration who didn't want people to see her, which is supposedly why she wore the gas mask.
Damn, that's fucked
But
up.
this line of reasoning will probably remain unconfirmed forever.
Damn, bro.
The Bunny Man.
He's just minding his business. The
In
Bunny
the early
Man?
70s, dozens of locals started reporting.
You mean the Easter Bunny, bitch? Man, I ain't been here for a minute. Lucas, welcome back.
That a man dressed up as a bunny had started haunting the residential neighborhoods around DC, Maryland, and Northern Virginia.
Oh my God.
Although dressing up as a bunny in itself seems pretty harmless, what made the encounters a little scarier was that the guy would allegedly threaten children on the street with an axe and frequently vandalize people's property for no apparent reason.
Let me see this guy.
Even though sightings of the so-called Bunny Man were pretty rare, they seemed to follow a pattern, as
Bro,
the man
this sounds
usually appeared
scary
in
as
secluded
fuck.
locations where there weren't a lot of witnesses. The story itself has a lot of elements of a typical urban legend and is kind of hard to believe, but through my research I found that it's all loosely based on a true story. In 1970, a couple was parked in a driveway close to a bridge on Colchester Road in Fairfax County when suddenly a random guy appeared out of nowhere, yelled at them for allegedly trespassing, and threw a hatchet at their car.
God damn.
Terrified, the couple left the area immediately before they had a chance to get a good look at the guy. As they reported the incident to the police, they mentioned the guy had been dressed in light-colored clothing and may or may not have been wearing something white on his head. Although the couple never mentioned anything about a bunny in their statement, as soon as the story hit the news, people started claiming that the hatchet thrower had been wearing bunny ears.
Yo.
Pretty soon, rumors of a man in a bunny suit threatening kids in the woods with a hatchet started surfacing all over the DMV area.
I need to see it. I need to see a picture or video, please.
Over time, the legend of the Bunny Man has become pretty mainstream, with the bridge on
Bro, if this thing was running around in the middle of the night, I would literally move countries. If I saw this shit in my neighborhood, bro. Oh, hell nah. Hell nah. It ain't Easter, bitch. Or Halloween.
Colchester Road even being renamed as Bunny Man Bridge. As of the uploading of this video, the legend has now been standardized and goes something like this. In 1904, there was allegedly an asylum close to the bridge on Colchester Road. As soon as it was built, a bunch of Fairfax County residents started complaining about the idea of having an asylum full of mental patients so close to their homes, so the authorities supposedly put all the patients in a bus and transferred them to a nearby prison.
No.
But on the way to the prison, the bus crashed and all the patients escaped. As the story goes, a few hours later the cops had successfully located and brought back all the patients except for one guy by the name of Douglas Griffin. This is where the legend gets a little weird. Allegedly, the fugitive patient hid in the woods from the authorities for weeks. As the days went by and the cops did everything to find him, rabbit corpses started to appear in the middle of the woods, which led everyone to believe Douglas was eating bunnies to stay alive.
What?
Then, one Halloween night, a group of kids were hanging out near the bridge on Colchester Road when they suddenly saw a blue orb flashing in midair.
What the fuck?
A second later, they were all strung up like bunnies hanging from the bridge. As the legend goes, if you go to Bunny Man Bridge on Halloween night at midnight, the same thing will happen to you.
Oh!
Obviously, none of this is true, but it just goes to show how much of
Obviously, none of this is true. Let's see you go fucking do it, buddy. Let's see you go do it. Chat, should we go on Halloween night? Wait, where is this again? Is this Maine? Or is that the other one? I don't remember. Is this in Maine?
of an impact the story of the Bunny Man has had on mainstream Virginia, DC, and Maryland culture. Nowadays, there's even Bunny Man t-shirts, a Bunny Man horror movie franchise, Bunny Man beer, and everything in between.
This man's a legend!
Needless to say, the area surrounding the railroad overpass near Fairfax Station is now a major attraction for both tourists and locals alike, and
That's
will probably
cool.
remain that way for many years.
Hey, honestly, that probably brings people to your fucking state. Because if it's in Virginia, ain't nothing else there, right? Yeah, dude. Remember the COVID clowns? Oh my God, shit. The COVID clowns. Yes, bro. Wait, darkest moments in TV history. Oh fuck, there's a new one.
Now, what's your
Oh god, I gotta like that. We gotta watch that at some point. Oh man. Yeah, you guys remember the COVID clowns, bro? What the fuck is COVID clowns? Oh no, wait. What am I thinking of? Wait. What am I thinking of? The clowns running around. It was 2016, not 20. Bro, oh my god. I really thought it was COVID. 2016 clowns. Yeah. There was like a fucking trend where there were like killer clowns running around. Remember that? It was its own thing. Yeah. But dude, people were like getting shot because there were like killer clowns running around. But then some people were doing it as a prank, right? And then people would end up shot and killed. Because, like, who the fuck wouldn't shoot a clown that's running at you with a machete? I think any normal person with a strap is popping a fucking clown with a machete, dude. I'm dead serious. Bro, I hate clowns. Anybody in the chat actually have a fear of clowns? Dude, also, those plants are not going to be there forever, okay? I'm replacing it. I kind of actually like the plants in the back. There's no more basketball hoop, but fuck, where am I going to put the hoop? It kind of adds some, like, fucking, some nature to the room. I'll kill them in GTA. The deaths weren't funny, but there was a huge mob that formed on my campus. Deadpool's afraid of clowns? No, they will run if you have a weapon. Interesting. Don't get rid of the $13 million bonsai. No. That bonsai is fucking, how much was it? It was 3 million, not 13. But yeah, that's probably my best investment right there, because that bonsai is going to last forever, right? It starts to grow apples. The thing about a bonsai tree, bro, is you can grow any fruit you want. So, like if you say, yo, bonsai, all you got to do is rub it, right? You got to rub its shaft. You know what I mean? You just got to, so it's a little weird. But you got to go back there. You got to grip its shaft, right? And you got to rub it a little bit. Rub it up and down, just a tiny bit. And be like, oh, bonsai, oh, bonsai. Can I please have a banana? And then you got to give it like 48 hours and you'll have a tree full of bananas. Then you can go back, all right? Once you pick all the bananas off the tree, bro, you got bananas for the month. Then you go stroke that shaft, right? You go stroke it again. And you're like, oh, bonsai. Can I please have a pineapple? Then it's a tree full of pineapples. And so on and so forth. That's the coolest thing about a bonsai tree, bro. Man. Will you be playing Sons of the Forest again? Nope, we all uninstalled. I'm just kidding. Yes, we will. We will for sure. It might happen, there might be some forest that gets played again maybe on Boys Night or something. I'm not really sure. But guys, Boys Night is going to be very extended on Wednesday, okay? I'm just going to tell you right now.